You may ask, why would a man want so many axes? And I might ask, why would he not? Let's have a look at some of these then. Those two in the centre at the back, they're the new boys. The rest of them are context. Oh, by the way, hello, Alex here, not whips today, axes. Okay. New boys in the collection. Why do they exist? This is my oldest axe. That was given to me by my dad's civil engineering business partner, Bill Leslie, when I was about 12. And it wasn't a young axe then. It probably dates back from the early 70s. It's a Stanley Steelmaster SA 1 1/4. It's been thrown, hammered, levered, bashed, pried, used for all sorts of things. The handle came off, replaced with this cowtail tape. Fashion statement for cattle. That tape's 25 years old. The edge was all gnarled and bashed up because the last time I sharpened it, God forgive me, I used a bench grinder. And I've been all over YouTube finding out how to do it properly. And I have learned my lesson well, as you can see. That has gone from being a rough old beater of an axe to suddenly being a really sharp, lovely bit of steel. It's a small bit of steel, however, and while it's excellent for green work, it's a bit limiting, really, a number of ways. I like to hold an axe up here sometimes for fine work, and the handle's just wrong for that. I will be putting a plaited kangaroo hide handle on this as a little test of how well axes stand up to a bit of leather work. That's for another video. Okay, yeah, what have I done with this? I have cut down a couple of trees of about this kind of size, made a totem pole, and just generally bashed around with it. Nothing great. This, my second oldest axe, I got for leather work. I didn't have a head knife at the time. That there is a head knife, or round knife. Good for rolling through thicker leather because it's quite a thin edge and it'll not have to shoulder the leather apart. I work in kangaroo skin and suede for whip making, so a thicker edge isn't much of a problem. It's still not a bad little skiving knife. Axe. Well, I use it more like a knife than an axe. And the only woodwork I've done with it has been fitting a big old doorpost to an undulating brick wall, and it did extremely well at that, although I could have done with a bit of extra size and weight. That dude there, ooh dear, double bit working axe by Gransfors Bruks. I only bought that because it's beautiful. That's really a throwing axe head. It's not a felling axe head. I don't know what the difference is when it comes to actually using it on timber because I've yet to use it. Bought this half a dozen years back, maybe more, 8 years back. Haven't used it at all. The handle's a bit thick. It's a very gentle oval, which means it's a little tricky indexing the edge. So if I were going to use that, I'd probably want to go planing the sides down a little bit, so I'm a little bit more sure about where the edge lands. Okay, now for this lot. That's a Paul Binns blunt reenactment Dane axe with a hard steel edge. That is an earlier style of single-handed axe that was given to me by the smith Jake Beimler over in that was given to me in Iceland in 2002. This cheap and nasty bit of tat is most valuable to me because that was payment for a performance at a Cradle of Filth album launch gig with the assistance of two nubile young maidens and a 10-foot bullwhip. Having cake and eating it. This used to be a throwing tomahawk, but I like the shape of the blade. It's a kind of Viking shape of blade. I play with the army of Jomsborg. So I thought it'd be nice to have a little sharp axe for woodwork if I'm ever out in character in Living Historyville. And I put the Turk's head on it to stop it coming out of my hand. Right, so that's a fun axe, that's a fun axe, that's a fun axe. That there is an enormously fun axe. This is a piece of artwork which I have yet to find a use for. That was £85 when I bought it. They've gone up to 135 quid since. Oh yeah, a few little characteristics about it. It is a well-hung chopper, as you can see. The fit of handle to head is really rather fine. The grain of the handle is pretty much in line with the edges. The pommel is, the oval of it is slightly out of line with the edges. So certainly before using that for anything serious, I want to give it a little bit of a shave there just to straighten it up. But that's not why we're here. These two are new, brand spanking new, and I wanted these as essentially a next step up from those two. This was the first one I got. I had only intended buying one axe, and I thought, I want a nice medium-sized greenwood axe, coppice axe, that kind of thing. And I ended up getting this Husqvarna carpenter's axe because it didn't have much information online and it looked about the right kind of size, and I get it and it's, oh my god, it weighs a ton. That weighs, let's see, yeah, take it out, let's weigh them all. Might as well have some basic information here. Okay, Fiskars, made in Finland, which I'm quite happy about. My daughter is half Finnish. 1 pound 2.5 ounces. Old school Stanley. You can't get them these days, I should think. And that is 1 pound 6 ounces. Gransfors Bruks small forest axe weighs 2 pounds 1 5/8. And the big husky weighs 2 pounds 14 ounces. Right? Now I weigh 140 pounds soaking wet, and excluding larger items like brain and gonads and accounting for total lack of heart and soul, that doesn't leave an awful lot of room for muscle. So I don't really want a whacking great heavy axe. So yeah, I bought this and thought, oh my god, it's huge and they're heavy, and then over the last few days I've gone, it's actually really gorgeous. It's a big chunky thing, it fits my hand nicely, it balances very nicely, and when I'd done that doorpost with that thing, I'd have loved to have had this. That would have done the job in jig time. Alright, let's compare and contrast these two. Now, if you don't know about the Gransfors Bruks small forest axe and you're watching a YouTube video about axes, I can only assume this is the first one you're watching. Because this thing has become something of a cliche ever since TV survivalists have taken it on board as a baby of the industry almost. And you can see why. It's as long as my forearm from elbow to fingertip. So it's a lovely length for easy handy use. The grip all the way up and down the handle is a teardrop section. It's not too sharp, but it's not particularly blunt either, and if I had very large hands I might find that a trifle slender. My wife, Swedish, which is why I tend to have Swedish knives. Got a Swedish Mora, which is superb, 30 quid well spent there. And Swedish penknife, EKA, with an edge marginally less than 3 inches, excluding ricasso and choil, so that complies with the letter of the law for everyday carry. Swedy things, yeah, I like them. Anyway, said wife has, she takes a medium-sized kitchen glove, as the good Lord intended, and finds that this grip is about right, and this grip is even better. And this one is too large. Now I take, when forced under duress, a large kitchen glove. Or to put it another way, that's how big my hand is. Or to put it a rather more precise way, because I mean this is important to me. I don't know about you, but if I'm going to be using a tool for any length of time, I want it to be comfortable. Right, round the shoulder of the Husqvarna carpenter's axe, we've got a circumference of about 5.5 inches, like that, and dropping down to about 4.5. And at the hand it is coming down to about 4 inches. And as I say, oval cross section. Meanwhile, the small forest axe, once I've got my coordination together, proves to be 4 3/4, no, pushing 5 right at the shoulder, and behind the shoulder it's quite considerably narrower, thinner at 4 1/4, and coming down at the hand to about 3 3/4 inches circumference. So yeah, quite an elegant narrow handle, saves a bit of weight, makes the edge very easy to index. Of all these axes, this one really comes to hand in a way that the others don't. It's a sort of an undefinable quality about it. I think that's why this particular model of axe has done so well. It just seems to have everything right. Alright, a few more details. Let's have a look. The grain on the handle runs not quite in line with the blade, but really not far off. It's about that. The teardrop shape is aligned with the edge very nicely. The swell ever so slightly off, but coincidentally fits my hands like a glove, both of them, because I don't have symmetrical hands. On the Husqvarna, where we have mainly heartwood, smidgen of sapwood, whereas on this one it's all sapwood. Oh yeah, that means that this will be a bit denser, a little bit more knock resistant, and this will be a little bit lighter and a little bit more shock absorbent, I would imagine. How much of a difference it makes in axes these size, I don't know. Fit and finish of the handles. The Gransfors Bruks is pretty much a class leader from what I've seen. And this is quite a bit rougher up by the shoulder. But the big difference between these two is in the edge. These Gransfors Bruks axes come literally shaving sharp with every bit of the edge. Down to using my right arm because this one's already bald. This fella, however, is a bit of a disappointment. There's a little ding there, there's a little ding there, and somewhere in the middle there's a third ding, and there's quite a bar, and all in all the edge hasn't been set up properly. Now, having just used this pile of equipment there on this little axe, I can tell you it takes quite some time to put that edge on, and as you can see, quite a bit more time needed for the bigger axe. This was £47 on the nose. That was £68 plus postage. Now I reckon by the time I've spent time on that edge and, you know, tidied little things up like that little ding in the wood there, there's a bit of torn wood, that axe will probably be just as expensive as that one, depending on how much time it actually takes. You know, when you're a craftsman, I make whips, I don't tend to do much in the way of woodwork, but when you use your hands for a living, you don't need to be spending too much time sharpening your tools because that's money. So yeah, I think they're both quite good. Time will tell. Oh yeah, to put the money in context, people go, oh my god, they're really expensive. Gransfors Bruks axes cost a fortune. 68 quid. Now this one was made by Anders Strömstedt, sign there. Now I know this man's name. I've got his face, a picture of his face in the little book that comes with it. That shows a certain pride and a certain confidence, and it also means that I am holding in my hand something which was made by a man whose face I know, and whose name I know, even though I've never met him. That to me is worth something. You know, that's putting your money where your mouth is, really. I mean, all my whips I sign and date, so I appreciate that. Here's a piece of context. K-bar, US Marine Corps utility kind of a knife. I got this donkeys years ago when I was in the TA. Trimmed it down here and there. These come in at about £86 these days, brand new. And other than digging arrows out of trees, I can't think of anything that this will do better than that at £68. Made by machines. Made by Anders Strömstedt, I think is his name. There you go. That's my opinion of prices. That's worth every penny, and I don't make a lot of money. There you go. There is my current axe collection. My next intention will be to time how long it takes to put a good edge on this and to tidy it up. I'll bring you that information. And the next bit of comparison work will be leather work. How well do these all stack up with very, very fine use? I want to put a handle on that. Any other little silly tests I can dream of, I shall bring to you. Meantime, if you can think of anything you'd like me to do with these axes, other than something obscene or potentially suicidal, let me know, and I shall bring you my findings. Right, thanks for watching. Take care. Bye now. There's the off.